Hey, Snicker Snacks, it's your old pal Space Lord PJs coming to you live in your ear holes here on Vorpal Tales. This is the Awesome Adventures Allocutions, where we allocute about all things awesome and adventurous. Today I have with me two of my favorite peoples at Made of Kimchi and Patty Shakes. Introduce yourself, kids. Tell everyone about yourselves, minus, any pertinent information that somebody could find you on the internet inappropriately.
Sorry, too late for that.
Okay.
There are many inappropriate things about me on the internet you can find.
And who's this inappropriate?
That would be me. I am Patrick Patty Shakes _ everywhere on the interwebs and on social medias. I am a DM and player for Vorpal Tales, currently running Scarred Lands, a homebrew game called Dracogenesis Titan's Lament.
Nice. And who else do we have with us? Made of Kimchi?
Yes, you have me. I am Duane, also known as Made of Kimchi on the internet. I, too, am a game master and player for Vorpal Tales. Currently, I am not running any awesome adventures, so to say, but they are awesome in their own right. I will be running a Pathfinder 2E starting next week, Strange Aeons. That is on Thursdays. And then, actually, that's it. The game that I had on Saturday just finished today.
Nice.
Heyo.
Cool. Pathfinder's kind of a sister thing to what we're talking about now, or at least today. Tonight is 5e Talk, 5th edition D&D, if you will, and kind of its sister campaigns and other conversions. So, Patty, I know this is a topic near to dear in your heart, so I'm going to listen to your voice for the next hour.
Oh, okay. Well, then be prepared to hear and follow the ways of the 5e. Specifically, what we're going to talk about tonight is the Scarred Land setting, which is produced by Onyx Path Publishing. It uses the 5e rule set. It just provides an entire kind of world for you to play in. The idea behind Scarred Lands, for those who don't know, is it follows its kind of Greek and Roman mythology roots, and the world is in a state of post-divine war. The gods have just finished dealing with the Titans in one way, shape, or another. And the world is kind of in a rebuild phase where, the races that were on the Titan side are kind of being, hey, we'll think about maybe letting you back in to the God side. And the races that were on the God side are kind of doing pretty well for themselves since they were on the quote unquote winning side. However, the world is still pretty screwed up from, the fact that divine beings were fighting on it. So you've got like forests that just spawn crazy, awful things called Titan spawn that, you go in any of the forests, you die. You go to any of the plains, you die. There's a trend. You go to any of the swamps, you die. You just don't go anywhere that's not a city, basically, unless you have a death wish.
Wow.
Yeah. You can't exactly say that there was a winner in that war.
It's true. Yeah. Technically the gods win, but then they're like, okay, so you mortal races got this, right? You got it. Good. Everything's fine. Okay. We're going back up to the divine dimensions here. And you guys can sort this out amongst yourselves. All right, cool.
Wow.
Yeah. So it's really cool because while there are kind of established cities and governments that are happening, since the world is in such a state of flux, you can kind of shape it however you want. So, the human hegemony that's kind of formed in the South, if you want them to suddenly experience, some upheaval, it's absolutely possible because, humans are always treacherous folk to each other anyway, just like in real life. But it's upheaval. The world's gone crazy. So, of course there might be a splinter sect of humans that are like, our ruler's better than yours. You want, the orcs to be the ones that are kind of like the main race and are trying to get control back into the world. Go for it, man. Like there's nothing stopping you. Whereas kind of 5e, it's kind of established that like, well, your people that look like humans are top dogs, and then the less human you look, the less control your character has, kind of thing.
Yeah, this is Scarred Lands is definitely a setting to where if you ever wanted to run one of those campaigns where it's the large scale wars, this would definitely fit well.
Yeah, I could definitely see someone if you wanted to try your hand at nation versus nation combat. you can use the setting Scarred Lands pretty well for that, because there's a lot of open areas that have been blasted apart by the Divine War. So there's this area called the Blood Steppes. It's just like horrible blasted apart savanna that's just perfect for like a wide open battlefield. Or like you can, if you want some crazy naval battles, there's a sea it's called the Blood Sea because it's literally made out of blood. Like there's all kinds of really cool like environmental settings you can use for your battlegrounds and have some epic battles.
Nice.
And you can you don't need to really get crazy with your reasons why these nations are fighting each other, because it can literally be as simple as you guys have more food than us at this kind of point.
Yeah, I like settings. This what you guys are saying reminds me of when Eberron first came out back in 3.5 or whatever, where it was like a post World War I type setting. So everybody was trying to avoid war because they just had a massive war, and then there's all this like intrigue and kind of like trying to get around things. So
yeah,
I like that thought of like like a bunch of heroes, a bunch of other NPCs, a bunch of other games just happened, and you're now sort of like the secondary game that's happening, and you got to deal with the fallout of what a bunch of other people just did. And I feel like Scarred Lands is pretty cool that way, because you're dealing with the fallout of certain things, and like the Titan War, and that creates interesting character relationships, I feel.
Yes,
it does.
Yeah, because it's there's a lot of we're the good guys because we sided with the gods, and there's a lot of, hey, like, sorry our race was literally created by the Titans for this war, but like, we kind of want to survive now in this post-Titan world, so how about accepting us? We're sorry. We're sorry that we fulfilled the purpose we were created for.
And excuse me while I toot my own horn here. But for example, in the game that Patty is running currently, Draco Genesis Titan's Lament, I am playing as an Asathi, who is
race, by the way.
Yeah, is one of the new races that you can find in Scarred Lands, who is a snake person. Kind of, if anyone is following 5e, it is like a Yuan-Ti.
Yes.
But more snake, not snake human, but like a snake with feet.
Yeah, the instead of the Yuan-Ti pureblood, think Yuan-Ti abomination.
Yeah,
cool.
But they were made by the Titans, and now my character is trying to find her place in the world, to where her entire society is looked upon as, well, you guys were the bad guys, and times are changing, and ideals are shifting, but it's a slow process, and the Asathi tend to keep to their devilish ways in most parts, but she doesn't want to be seen that way. So in her travels, she's always trying to make good with the other races, showing that we can be better. We have earned our place alongside you.
That's cool. I always like it when the book says the race is this way, but then a player goes and says, I'm kind of going to go counter to that and try to like fit in and stuff like that. So that's cool.
Yeah. But yeah, so it's kind of this world where there's still people who worship the Titans, so that's a good protagonist you can have is a Titan cult. Who doesn't love going against some cultists? I've already made the players go against some cultists already, so there's that. A lot of, instead of it being generic monsters like 5e's kind of monster manual is, the monsters are more kind of called Titan spawn, meaning these are all abomination creations, that the Titans either made expressly for the Divine War, and they're just kind of left behind. So there's like these living weapons that have been left behind to just roam the world, or they are races that still haven't seen the light, kind of thing. So that's going to be your main kind of push, is to use those Titan spawn that is detailed over. What's cool is the Scarred Lands keeps everything in one book. Like the core book is it has your Titan spawn in that core book, so you don't have to flip between a couple of books until you start getting to expansions. Which, you know, speaking of expansions, a couple have come out recently for Scarred Lands.
Oh, really? Why don't you tell us about that, Patrick?
Well, we'll talk about the official one first, and then biased me. We'll talk about the better one after. But yeah, an official expansion called Yugman's Guide to Gelspad, which Gelspad is the main continent of the world. It's called Skarn. It's the one that has the most content written for it. It's quite a large continent, so you don't have to feel sand trapped by it. It is very, very big. My players have been in one city of one country, and you know, they've been able to go to a forest. They're able to go to like a steppes area. So there's a lot you can do with that one continent. But Yugman's Guide to Gelspad gives a lot of more player creation options, because Scarred Lands kind of tries to go for a more with the whole idea of, you know, Titans versus gods in this very dangerous world, very post war world. The Titan spawn that you fight that Scarred Lands kind of prides itself for are very dangerous, and so the Scarred Lands subclasses, because it uses standard 5e classes, but the Scarred Lands subclasses are much more powerful than your standard 5e subclasses. They give you quite a few more powers, and the powers are usually, you know, scaled more extreme than you would find. And I'm saying something because, you know, 5e classes already feel pretty powerful. I know that's true. Speaking to D&D vets, you know, they always talk about how 5e is designed to make everyone feel powerful. So that should tell you right there just how dangerous Scarred Lands can be, is if, you know, if they felt the need to make these classes even stronger. But Yugman's carries a bunch of new classes, as well as a bunch of new items. And what else they got in there, Duane?
I mean, personally, for me, I think, you know, it does have a lot more of your classes. You've already pointed on that. A couple of new races it does have.
Oh, yes.
A very extended spell list.
Yeah, that's another cool thing about Scarred Lands is they Onyx Path put the time into, like I said, you need to be more powerful in Scarred Lands, so they put the time in and introduced a bunch of new spells.
It's a good. I'd say at least a good 10 to 12 pages worth of just spells.
It's a lot of spells.
Yeah, plus there's some in the core book too. So
right. But personally, I feel, you know, we were talking about how in Skarn, you know, it's very easy to put societies against societies, and I think Yugman's Guide to Gelspad even focuses on that even more because of the social backgrounds that it hits on.
Yes, that's another thing unique to Scarred Lands is instead of taking one background, and that's kind of general like 5e does, you've got your acolyte background in 5e, you've got your sage background, which are just very general word terms that you pick. Scarred Lands really makes you kind of focus, and you actually take two backgrounds. You take a social background and a
regional
background. So you have a background that's based on where you came from and what you did where you came from.
Nice. Sounds very like when you do a splat for, like, say, Hunter or something like that, having your social and your like, they're very background based. That's how you get a lot of your powers. So it's cool that they actually incorporated that into the 5e setting. That's pretty awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, the backgrounds are actually very powerful, and I do think sometimes people overlook them, even if they're new to Skarn, or even, you know, veteran players of Skarn, not Skarn, Scarred Lands. Sorry. Yeah, the backgrounds really need to be looked into, because you get powers that are always, even if it's a regional background, you still might have some type of social interaction ability that either gives you bonuses to rolls or just lets you do awesome stuff. Much like some of the 5e, you know, the base 5e backgrounds. Like if you're an acolyte, you're able to find rest and retreat inside of a temple of whatever order you're following. Some of the regional backgrounds are that you had no home, or that you grew up in a swamp, so you're able to traverse swamp area like a ranger would.
Yeah, cool.
So you're able to balance out some of those special things that only classes get. I mean, not super powerful stuff, but some little flares, and you can get those through backgrounds.
Yeah, like for instance, there's the Yugman's really focuses on the societies that exist in Skarn. So like criminal, political, military societies. There's a criminal society that's they're basically pirates, the Jaffnian dynasty. And if you take that background, you literally get a very cool ability from the background, which is you can predict what weather is going to happen accurately for the next 24 hours while at sea. So if you plan on having like a pirate campaign or an at sea campaign, you can just take this background and you can always tell when a typhoon's coming. You also know if like the weather's being affected magically. So you have like this great, kind of awesome lookout power to be able to help keep your party safe while at sea, just from your background.
Huh.
Yeah, and the other kind of social backgrounds they incorporate are just as strong. There's another criminal society called the Scaled, which my players are familiar with now. And if you take that background, you just anywhere you go, where the Scaled office is, and you can like talk to them and introduce yourself and get bounties and contracts and jobs and have a place to stay and things like that. So you're basically starting at level 1 by taking this background, you're a full-fledged member of the Thieves Guild essentially.
That's right.
I do think that a lot of the a mechanic that you don't often see used in 5e very much is downtime. Usually it's just you go from session to session to session, and you just pick up kind of wherever you left off. But if you were, as a GM, to use downtime a lot more often, a lot of these backgrounds would give you a lot of good bonuses.
Yeah, I try to incorporate downtime into traveling. So because you don't want to kind of what 5e likes to do is like, oh well, every hour of travel, roll in the encounter table. But we all know how much combat can slow down things. It's kind of one of those things you gotta use sparingly, because too much of it, and things just get very slow, and there's a lot of initiative rolls and rolling to hits and to damage dice and yada yada yada. But what I like to do for traveling is let people do those background things, let people kind of work on training a skill, or while you're on the open road, kind of doing those downtime things, so you can get the use of learning new skills and backgrounds and training and what have you, while you're doing something usually as mundane as just kind of, you can, that also allows you to keep travel realistic, because traveling from the city in the south all the way to the north, that's it's going to take a month or two to get there. But if you kind of just wave your, and if you don't want to role play the whole month or two of travel, you can kind of just wave your hand. But while waving your hand, you can make your players feel like they didn't skip out on all that time, and they can get that training in.
This is actually an interesting segue, or of a question, if you will, because I want to get an opinion. Still has to do with 5e, but it's kind of as an overall sword and fantasy kind of game. When I'm playing, like when I run a 5e setting or a 5e game, and my players want to multi-class, what I would like to see as a GM is they're like, oh yeah, I want to take a level of, if you're a fighter and you're like, yeah, I want to take a level of druid. I'm like, okay, you can do that. Who's going to teach you? Where are you getting this from? Like, you just don't wake up one day and be like, I'm a druid.
Mother Earth herself.
Okay. But then that's where that downtime is very useful to be like, okay, did she come to you in a dream? Were you traveling the road and you saw, some huge stag and you followed it into the woods? She talked to you. And I would believe that. I'd be like, okay, you got your level of druid. Or how everybody wants to get a level of rogue. all right, well, there's no rogue in the party. Who taught you? How did you learn these skills? And I think downtime is a good way to annotate that. Use it to your advantage.
Yes, I also like we kind of, I think we started, what did we start? We started at 3, I think, in this game.
Yes. No, we did not. Yes, we did.
Started at 2, 3.
No,
I
either 2 or 3.
What I like doing is I maybe it was 2. Just a lot of you are multi-class, so I did get a chance to. Oh, I did with you. I like when people get their subclass to kind of make that an event as well. So like for you chose the one where you get to make you have Brillo now.
Yes, I chose the Battle Master for my Artificer.
And so we kind of we got to have some fun with that. And we got to have that event of, you willingly took the level of exhaustion to stay up all night and make your first draft of Brillo. And I think I like doing that. I like making getting your subclass a kind of fun little thing. Like for paladins, it's swearing your oath. It's for whoever. I think that's a fun kind of opportunity to have that moment, like you said, kind of in your downtime is you stop over in the local city and the paladin goes to the temple and he meets with the high priest and yada yada yada, bada bing bada boom, he swore his oath kind of thing.
Yeah. And it helps with character development too. It makes you feel like the characters, you're more involved.
Yeah,
with the character than just like, yay, I got another level. What do I get?
That's pretty cool that you're playing an Artificer in Scarred Lands, Duane. It's like one of my favorite classes.
It is interesting. I'd say if I was playing any other of the subclasses, like what you get at, like I don't think I could do an artillerist or even an alchemist. Seems kind of outlandish for the Scarred Lands setting.
Mm-hmm. We're making it work with it's okay. We're making it work with Steve's character.
Yeah.
his is more addiction as opposed to whatever, but we're making it work.
Nice.
But let us not get bogged down in minutia, as Fatty would always say, and get back to talking about Yugman.
I believe in the lore, Yugman is a very powerful sorcerer. So the Yugman's Guide to Yelspao is kind of a play on the Volo's Guide to Monsters and the Mordekainen's Tome of Foes kind of thing. Kind of a nod to that, which I thought was cute. But yeah, I think we kind of touched the main highlights of Yugman's. I did, for Duane, to let you know, I did just give that compass that you found on those children was a magical item that I have given to Steve's character. So we have successfully used something from Yugman's Guide.
That's cool.
With more, I'm sure more of the items to come. A lot of the items actually, quote items, are actually tattoos. That's something cool Scarred Lands does, is they are a big proponent of using magical tattoos. It's like several races they get to learn how to use tattooist supplies. And there's a prestige class that's all about making more effect of your of your magical tattoos.
And have the ability to use it more than once. Correct?
Yeah. So I mean, if you do it right, if you're a spellcaster, you can double your amount of spells you have for the day if you prestige class correctly with tattoos and stuff. Of course, the tricky bit is always having to find someone who will imbue these tattoos into you. But right. For one shots, I know it's very when we have done Scarred Lands, I think at least one person every time has abused those magical tattoos in some way or shape or form. It has just been I cast Fireball for the 10th time. How? Trust me, I have the tattoos for it. It's like, oh, okay, good. No, that's great. But that just kind of circles back on the fact that, Scarred Lands is a very dangerous place. So, Scarred Lands very much, is okay with you having 10 fireballs because you're probably going to need 20 fireballs.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, in the few campaigns or in the few games that I played of it, it did always feel like, oh, this is a little overwhelming. This is a little oh my sort of situation.
Yeah. Yeah, so going.
Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry. No, I was going to say, so, you had said that Yugman's Guide was the very first that had come out, but I believe that you had another one that was close to heart.
Help me on this lead here. I know you're trying to lead me into something.
Did it have to do with a cold place?
Oh, yeah. So, Frostlands of Frenrilic was a expansion that was also done for Scarred Lands that opens up a new continent on Skarn. So, we were just talking about Gelspad, and this kind of bonus for that. Frenrilic is the northern continent. It is your stereotypical ice-covered continent where you can get into all kinds of crazy snow capers and adventures, and there's introduced several new races specific to the area, and get to deal with your extreme cold and your climbing mountains and your weird peoples that still worship titans, but they're not evil. So you kind of have that. You get to have that cool kind of interaction with your players.
Yes, and weather is a thing. Climate, in general, is a thing that not a lot of DMs use. And I think that Frostlands, hit on it hard. Like, if you're going to be playing here, you need to have weather.
Yes. And it was cool too when because a lot of even though it is a frozen wasteland up there, they don't necessarily focus on, like, there's various different types of cold areas. So like there's like a valley that there's a frozen river underneath of it that just is cool. And there's like some tundra areas, and there's only one town, but that's kind of on purpose. And then because of Fenrilic's really cool because the handbook or whatever is like 4 pages long, and one of those pages is it just basically says, yeah, we didn't come up with a bunch of stuff because you're supposed to, so this is your land to do whatever you want.
yeah which was pretty cool. I know that it's funny, like I know, like, basically every D&D like setting I know of has a frosty land. It's just kind of this like staple now in fantasy games where you go to the Great North continent and you go have misadventures there. But yeah, I think what's cool is also the races that are introduced for Fenrilic. It's kind of hard to bring them back to Gelspad. At least 2 of them I know of actually, have to be cold.
Survive,
yeah, there's a special magic item that's introduced in Fenrilic that, if you're one of these 2 races, you have to be wearing this like ice ring, basically, that keeps your core temperature at like -20 or something like that. So you can adventure south if you want. So you can bring these races to Gelspad if you want, but kind of the idea is to leave the mystery and the intrigue and the uniqueness of these races to Fenrilic and kind of keep it there, which is cool. It's a cool idea because it kind of incentivizes you to play there.
Yeah.
Yes. Do not confuse incentivize with restrict.
Yeah. Like I said, there is a magical item that's it's just a common too. You don't have to feel like you're like overpowering one character that wants to be that race and giving them some ultra rare item. There is but it's a common magical item that just all it does is it doesn't give them like heat resistance or cold resistance or anything like that. It just keeps them cold. It keeps their bodies cold.
Yeah. You can survive away from home with this ring. There you go. So what else would we like to talk about today?
Well, we can talk about the big one, the big kahuna, the big cheese, the top brass being Vorpal Tales' very own release into the Scarred Lands world.
You don't say.
I do say.
Releases.
There is 2, yes. So we had our first release into Scarred Lands, which was, let me get the exact title here. 10 Fenrilic monsters to ruin an adventurer's day, and a few things to make it better. And that was a supplement we did, I want to say like
at the end of last year?
Yeah.
Yeah,
even longer than that, I think.
it was
Really.
around October, November we released it, because we were also doing our holiday one around the same time, because we wanted it out before like November, December. So it's been out there for a while.
Yes. So we do, I think, as the title would say, it's 10 monsters. Then we kind of added, we did some items as well. And you should definitely check that out. It's like I think that's our first thing we published. I think it's the first thing we've published.
Yeah, it's one of the first things.
So it's our first publishing. So keep that in consideration. If you check it out on DriveThruRPG, you can find it by searching Vorpal Tales. But then right next to it, you can see our current awesome amazingness that just looks so friggin' badass. And you can tell that we have become the masters of supplement publishing.
I don't know about all that, but it looks a lot.
Yeah, I know about that. We are masters. I am bumping us up to the rank of master. Troubadours and tenders of the grove, pugilists and pack makers. As the name suggests, it gives you some more subclasses for some of the classes that haven't gotten as much love in all of the official Scarred Lands content that's out there. So I want to say there's 4 or 5 books. Let's see. There's the core book. There's Friend Relic. There's Yugman's Guide. There is Blood Sea expansion, which talks about being on the Blood Sea and all the greatness that comes with that. And then there is just finished its Kickstarter, Dead Man's Rust, which is going to be an event. It's going to be an adventure for Scarred Lands. It's not strictly a supplement book, although there are some new things in there. It's more of a adventure to take your characters, I believe, from levels 1 to 7 or 1 to 10. I can't remember. But yeah, when that's kind of out of Kickstarter backer kit time, you should totally check it out. I ran kind of a 2-shot in the environment for the players, and it's really cool. It deals with the Hornsaw Forest. Good stuff. But between all those books, bards, monks, warlocks, and druids had kind of gotten not as much love. Of course, in Scarred Lands, you can choose to use official 5e classes if you like. However, as we noted on earlier, you are going to be at a power disadvantage if you choose to do that. So it's best to kind of pick a Scarred Lands subclass if possible. Mm-hmm. So these are the ones, I think Warlock up until this point only has like 2 new patrons you can choose from. So we added 3 new subclasses for each of those classes. So there's 3 new bards, 3 new druids, 3 new monks, 3 new warlocks. And then on top of that, not since the official book has come out, have there been more prestige classes added. So we just figured, hell, we'll throw in 3 more prestige classes too.
Yeah. I remember I was like, I'm going to write a druid. What can I write a druid about? Crazy cat lady? I don't know.
Yes. So if you want, we can. I believe we all contributed a little bit to this. So if you want to kind of go, I when I was reading through this, kind of when we're doing our drafts, I knew immediately that, of course, you had written that druid subclass, Shawn. There was no other person that could have been. But yeah, if you kind of want to just give people a teaser of what that's about.
I was trying to think of like unique spins on classes, just with an interesting twist, not just some generic sort of fantasy bit to it. And I remember trying to figure out like what's a cool druid, and like there's always everybody's like, oh, I'm gonna play an urban druid. Like, all right, whatever. But so I was thinking about, okay, what if a druid is walking through an area or on their travels, and like they just start helping a lot of like rando animals, and like they start sort of picking up on the lost and the stray animals that are in their travels, and they just sort of make attachments to them. And so basically what I created was the Circle of the Stray, and the concept literally is Crazy Cat Lady, just having a ton of animals at your beck and call that form like a legion around you, and you can put them in 2 different modes where you can either use the animals to sort of defend yourself and just create this barrier of crazy
A
cats,
fur.
a fur, barrier fur, or you can like unleash that legion on the monsters and sort of hinder them and harrow them just to the point of like, get the hell off me sort of situation.
It's like that scene from every cartoon where the crazy cat just leaps on the person's head and they're, it's a whirlwind of scratching and biting, but it doesn't actually hurt them. They're just like inconvenienced by it.
Yes. That was kind of the theory behind the whole thing, was just trying to come up with something unique, something different, not necessarily like nature-y, but sort of involved with the animals and things. So that's where I went with that one.
Yeah, there's plenty of classes, there's plenty of subclasses in Druid to play if you're really feeling the whole, yeah, bro, like, peace, love, and earth. There's plenty of those subclasses if you want to do that kind of Druid. But I really think the whole, for people who want to do I'm going to be edgy and do an urban Druid, there's not a lot of actual subclasses that cater to that specifically. You kind of have to warp some of the ones that exist to kind of fit that theme. So I think it's a good hole that was filled there.
Yeah, I enjoyed that.
I'll tease one of my classes. So I delved into creating a Warlock patron, and when I make subclasses, I like to kind of, really anything I create for 5e, I like to find things that a lot of things haven't been done for yet, just so like, people can't compare me to really awesome shit people have done. So one of the things I found like on the internet that's official 5e content that I couldn't find a lot of stuff for is one of the planes of existence is called the negative energy zone. I'm sorry, the negative energy plane. The negative energy plane.
That sounds fun.
Yeah. The negative energy plane pretty much is just this place where energy goes to die.
Okay.
I'm following.
So if you want to, this usually breaks everything. But if you wanted to introduce actual physics into 5e, things would a lot of the basic rules of thermodynamics break, because one of those is energy is never created or destroyed. It's just repurposed. Okay, but that doesn't explain magic, because with a twist of your hand, you're summoning a giant fireball. Where is that energy coming from? And where is it going? So that was kind of the idea I had when I made this Warlock. Basically, you serve the plane. You are a servant of balance. You exist to make entropy correct in the world. So the kind of little tagline I put in the description of the patron is, every time a sorcerer casts Fireball, a Warlock of the Null, that's what I call it, patron the Null, a Warlock of the Null exists to channel a bit more of the world's energy into the negative energy plane. And so kind of the idea behind this subclass is you are Mr. or Mrs. dampen and dispel and counterspell magic you find in the world. So you kind of have an ability to identify where magic is coming from, and then you have it gives you an ability to get rid of it. You are able to suck the energy out of spells being cast and kind of help you like half the damage. It gives you the kind of a version of evasion that like rogues get. It gives you the ability to counterspell more often. I'm sorry, not more often, but for free. And also allows you to kind of, going back to this whole, where is this energy coming from? Allows you to use your hit points to cast spells. So I put a mechanic in there so that, to combat the heat death of the multiverse directly, you may use your own essence and your own energy to bring these spells forward.
That's kind of rad.
Yeah. So, but yeah, that's why I like to. So I find things like the negative energy plane that if you Google search that, you're going to find more like references to the negative energy zone and like comics than you will 5e things. So, and kind of, adding my own stuff in there, because then someone can't really come along and be like, well, that's wrong. It's like, oh, well, no, nothing exists for that. So I say it's right. So therefore it's right. because you can't find any literature out there that proves me wrong.
Patty's word is law.
But yeah, and then so yes, we did those subclasses. We did prestige classes, and then we also added a few new spells as well. But all in all, it comes out to be quite a large supplement. It's 43 pages of awesomeness, and it is on Drive-Thru-RPG. You should 100% check it out.
100.
Yes. While I did not contribute to this, I can say you should get it anyway.
Thanks, Duane.
What a team player.
Just buy it. My friends did it. It's cool.
Super swears. It's awesome.
It's awesome. Yeah, that was a fun one to put together, and I really like doing stuff for the Scarredlands setting, just because it is a very interesting setting.
Yes, yeah, Onyx Path did a really good job with it.
Yeah,
I believe it had previously existed in some other publisher had it, and they kind of just let it slip into obscurity, and so Onyx Path kind of swooped in and was like, we'll take care of that, don't worry.
There really aren't that many, can't really say supplements, but yeah, I'll say the word supplements to 5e where you have a new world. I mean, everybody knows Forgotten Realms. Pretty much anyone who's ever played a 5e game can be like, at least name off 4 or 5 cities and knows what Faerun looks like.
Yeah. Right.
On a map. You can be like, oh, there's
Faerun. If you haven't played in it, you've probably read about it or something.
Right. But there aren't a lot of other than Eberron, the other one I can't remember, Dintin Vale.
I mean, they have one that's basically a Greek one. They have one that is based in the Magic the Gathering world, and then
that's Ravenica.
Oh yeah, Ravenica, and then crap, there's one more. I can't think what it is.
But it's all official Wizards content is the other thing too.
Yeah,
right.
So it's all kind of, that of course they hire out writers and such, but it's still kind of the same toning and same, feel, because it's all, under the Wizards umbrella.
Right.
So if you want a different feel, got to go outside the publisher.
There's only one other that I know of other than Scarredlands that is for 5e.
Green Ronin Games did that one game.
Lost Citadel.
Yeah, Lost Citadel.
Well, then that makes 2 that I know of then.
What was the other one that you're thinking of doing?
Grim Hollow.
Grim Hollow, yeah. Yeah, that's right.
Those are all completely different worlds, which I know we're talking about Scarlands, but yes, you should definitely check out all of the different world settings for 5e. Try not to stick to Faerun.
Yeah,
a lot of opportunity and a lot more adventures.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Eberron was always one of my favorite ones, and it's just so different. And a lot of the other settings and stuff, there's just a book, and Wizards I don't think puts a lot of huge effort into it, but they always just don't seem as complete. They don't dive in with a bunch of books for settings. It's just here's the book and then have fun, and hey, remember Forgotten Realms is a thing. Yeah, so it's nice to see something like Scarredlands that is just out there and doing its own thing and being cool.
Yeah, it's much more complete. Even with I had mentioned Grim Hollow. Grim Hollow is kind of along the lines of Scarredlands as far as supplement goes, new classes, backgrounds, feats, equipment, all that kind of stuff. It's not as, the world itself is not as complete as I feel that Scarredlands is, as Scarn as a whole is. The book does have maps, and it tells you about the backgrounds, but doesn't really talk about a whole lot of different towns, and it doesn't talk about how the people interact. It tells you how the different governments function.
Right.
But unlike Scarredlands, there's no cohesion. It doesn't tell you how they interact with each other, and it's an interesting setting, but a lot of it is it's up to the GM to make these stories go together. There's a very few plot hooks in the book. But in
Oh.
Scarredlands, there's all kinds of stuff.
Should also toss out a shout out to our partners, Hit Point Press with their Humblewood is a thing.
Yes,
Oh, yeah. There you go.
Humblewood and Heckna, which fingers crossed, and all the updates I've been getting so far make it seem like it's going to be this way. But you can check out Vorpal Tales in October for a Heckna, kind of short campaign I'll be running.
Yes, Halloween. Heckna Halloween.
Heckna Halloween.
Heckna Halloween.
I know you're going to run Humblewood soon, aren't you, Shawn?
Yeah, that's probably going to be our holiday special. So I don't like running 5e pure. I like running it with a trick or a thing. Like Scarredlands is a gimmick, and like Humblewood is a gimmick, and it just makes it more interesting because beating up on ghouls and orcs and goblins, just you've been doing it for 20 years, and let's throw something else out there. I would like to be a dog. Thank you very much. Pugmire's another another conversion. So yeah. Growing up on stuff like Secret of Nim and things like that, and just Rescue Rangers, for God's sakes, like just being able to be an animal. Yeah, being able to just sort of take adventuring from a different Redwall was actually, I think that's a major influence for those things.
Yeah.
It's just nice to sort of take things from a different angle than just hardcore fantasy or whatever. I like the fact that Scarredlands is like it is the Greek myths, and that's a really cool. I don't think a lot of people touch on that anymore. I think Greek myth type stuff fell out of favor for a while, so it's cool to see that that get reused.
Yeah, that was always my favorite part of history class, was going over Greek and Roman, which is why I actually there's a Kickstarter I backed for 5e called Age of Antiquity. That's basically is going to make it's 5e, but in the like historically correct ancient world of Greek, Roman, China, Turkey.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so it's going to take all those, and you're going to be able to be your background is, I was a Roman legionnaire, like you're a fighter, but you were a Roman legionnaire, or I'm a gladiator paladin. Like you're playing in the actual history of the emperors and kings and leaders and things like that. So you're going to have these cool moments where you're teaming up with Leonidas to slay the Persian controlled beholder they're setting upon Sparta. You're going to have these really cool moments that I'm excited to do, because
that's awesome.
I love that shit.
Make a bard eunuch.
A bard eunuch.
Sure, you could make that if you like. You could. It's just going to be. It looks really cool. So I'm excited to do that. I'm excited for that as well.
Yeah, 5e is so adaptable and kind of so easy to learn, because I remember I just threw the rules at Rain one day and was like, hey, here, pick a class and let's go. And she's like, I'll be a paladin, and showed her how to do it. And she's like, off to the races. And without even looking into the rules or really understanding things, was able to play a game for a night and really get into it. So it's cool like that. It's a fun system that's pretty adaptable. It's pretty
all the faults that a lot of people give, a lot of faults and a lot of grief that people give to 5e, and a lot of people don't like it. A lot of people have gotten over it, but it is easy.
Yeah, I will be the first to admit that I throw a lot of shade 5e's way, just because I get bored with it. That's shitty to say, but it's just sometimes it's just like, all right, here we go. That's why I like tricks to it. So, but it is such an easily adaptable system. It is so very much so, just you can kind of just hand it out in a day and just be like, here, check it out, play this. And yeah, it's a really great, easy system that I think anybody can play, and it's a good entry point to role playing. It's a good entry point to tabletop gaming, that I think, and I see why people watch Critical Role, and it has become so popular, just because it is very easy now to just pick it up and go, where before with like 3.5 was wacky, and then 4 just nobody liked
Made
that.
even less sense.
And it was just so complicated. And if you want to talk about boring, 4th edition is boring. Like there's no choice, there's no nothing. Like you're basically playing World of Warcraft as like a DPS tank or a healer, and it's boring. It's not fun. Like I was playing with Mike and Steve for a while, and we were like 6, 7, 8 sessions in, and Mike stopped me in the middle and was like, "Hey, I love you, Shawn. You're one of my best friends in the world, but I'm really fucking bored. Like this system sucks." I was just like, "Oh, okay. You know what? Funny story. I have felt the same way the whole time, but I was just running it because I like playing games with you guys." And they're like, "It's cool. Can we just find something else to play and not play this?" So that was that hurt. And I'm so glad that they fixed D&D with 5th edition, because it's pretty rad. It is a rad little system that it, like I said, is a good entry point. It's a good sort of stepping on point for anybody who's just like, I'm interested in this thing I've heard so much about. What do I do? So yeah,
get yourself 7 dice and a brain.
So interesting question, because this is something that I saw Jacob on what is his channel, XP level 3 or whatever it is, on YouTube.
Yeah.
What is the easiest class to play? Like if you're a beginner and somebody was like, what's the easiest class, what do you play?
So I'm going to remove all magic characters.
Yeah.
I would say the hardest part about 5e is figuring out magic, ranges, the shape the magic takes, damage.
Spell slots.
Yes. The spell slots are one of the harder hoke items to manage. I would say Barbarian is pretty easy.
Barbarian was one that he did throw out. Yes.
See, even Barbarian, I would kind of stray away from, because
there is math involved.
Right. Yeah, if
But
you're just talking about just straight,
it's very little math, I will say. Yes.
Yeah, it is very little math. But it's like, am I raging? Okay, yes, I'm raging. Well, if I'm raging and I do all-out attack, okay, yeah, I get bonuses. Oh, I forgot to tell you that you have advantage against me as well. There's a lot of remembrance when it comes.
So that's on the DM though. That's on the DM to remember that they have advantage.
Right.
For what's it called?
For all-out attack, yeah. I would say for a lot of Barbarian stuff, it does fall on the DM to remember some of that stuff, but
because I'm trying to think of because obviously role playing is not part of these character classes, so it's just this all just comes down to battlefield mechanics. And for a Barbarian, the battlefield mechanics are very straightforward. Your first turn, you rage, and then after that, you don't have to do anything except attack. And you just go to the person that's closest to you and you attack them over and over again. Yeah, exactly. So with fighter, there's things depending on which fighter subclass you are, there's things like maneuvers that you can do. So, that spices things up. But Barbarian, it's do I want to attack recklessly? That's what it is, reckless attack. Do I want to attack recklessly or do I not want to attack recklessly? Those are your combat options.
Yeah.
I kind of agreed with what Jacob said, and which was Monk.
So Monk has the key point mechanic that you have to keep track of.
Mm-hmm.
And also Flurry of Blows can get confusing with some of the later subclasses because you can trade one of your Flurry of Blows attacks to do something else. And so Monk ends up having this combination of you could do 300 different things on your turn depending on what it is you want to do.
But you don't have to worry about equipment, and you don't have to worry about anything really outside of the key points in that Flurry of Blows. So I kind of felt that was kind of a good choice.
Yeah, I would say it would be an okay choice.
Yeah.
As long as you understood, and I think that's why a lot, and this goes off into a whole different thing on why monks are overpowered and why they're not. It's really the understanding of what is a bonus action and what is not.
Right. Yeah. But I think Barbarian is, either a very close second, if not just a tie for that, because yeah, you're right. There's not much to it. Do you have an axe? Yes. Do you have some armor? Yes. All right. Have fun. Go hit that thing. Like,
Yeah. Well, barbarian also has the unarmored defense, so
Yeah, so
technically
you don't even need
you
armor.
don't. Yeah, technically you don't need armor.
oh
either.
yeah, that's right. They don't need armor either. Yeah. So, do you have an axe? Cool. Are you raging? Yes. All right. We're good.
Roll +2.
Yeah. Just roll. Keep rolling that d20.
Barbarian is one of my favorite classes too. I think.
Oh yeah, I love barbarian. I like mixing up. I like doing a barbarian fighter combination, so you can just do some crazy shit like, take your extra attack with barbarian and then take your fire level, so you can get to action surge. So you end up getting like 4 attacks all at advantage while raging. It's a thing of beauty when done correctly.
I 3.5 had this thing called a rage mage, and I have missed it since that system kind of fell out by the wayside. But like, the ability to rage and cast spells in the middle of that is kind of a cool thing to do. It just, I think, throws people for a loop. Like, oh fuck, that dude's throwing freaking fireballs at us, and mad as hell.
Yeah.
Well, wait, now that you're talking about your rage mage, did Scarred Lands not do?
They did. Scarred Lands did, and like Tasha did it like 2 days before that version came out. So it was kind of funny. But yeah, Rage Mage is, and I think Scarred Lands version is somewhat better than what's in Tasha's. So yeah, I mean, it's like splitting hairs, but yeah, I did. Rage Mage is something I think, if you have not read it and you have not tried it, go play apparently the easiest class and then pick one of the coolest freaking things possible out there and just check it out. Because yeah, you turn the easiest class into a spell caster and just kind of make it complicated, but it's really it's kind of one my favorite classes are the ones where like you can do what. So yeah.
Rage Mage.
There's Rage Mage, then I think Scarred Lands also did a barbarian that you can like share your rage with your allies.
Yes.
What was it? Was that the totem one?
Yeah, I think it was the totem one.
No, totem is a base 5e one.
There was another totem one in Scarred Lands that came out recently, but I can't remember.
No, that was in Dead Man's Rust.
Oh, that's what I'm thinking of.
Yeah, that one's in Dead Man's Rust.
You're right. You're totally right. Yeah. You know what?
Can we talk about that?
No. Yeah. Like, yeah, totally. Actually, we should totally like do that, as well as talk about what are you guys' favorite classes.
I'll pull Duane, go ahead and say what you're talking about your favorite class. I'm going to pull up the, I think I still have my preview manuscript of Dead Man's Rust. I do. Haha.
Yeah, I have mine as well, I think. My favorite class is a Warlock. I always love playing a Warlock. I never play the same Warlock. I may use the same name, but I always change my patron. I don't really have a favorite patron.
Which one?
But I also don't like to play. A lot of people are like, "Oh, go Hexblade." I don't like to do the same. I don't like to, when I create characters, I don't like to min max. And when I create a character, I create the character.
Yes.
And then I choose my class.
I'm going to stop you right there. If you are playing 5e, don't play a class, don't play a background, don't play the mechanics. Find your character and then go, it's this class with this background, like kind of move backwards. Yeah. You have 1,000 times more fun with it. And it's just the way that I think 5e should be played, is think of your character first and then kind of backtrack and go.
Yeah. I kind of break that, when I sit down, I'm like, okay, well, I know I want to play a Warlock because I love playing a Warlock, but this is my character. Now, based on what my character has done, who would my patron be?
A more experienced player, yes, you are totally right. You can quickly figure out character from class, but if you're sort of new and you're sort of beginning at it, figure out your character first and then figure out the mechanics to it, you're gonna have a lot more fun with it, because you start picking feats and skills and things that I think you start figuring out your character rather than figuring out your mechanics, which is, I think, a better way, more enjoyable way to play it. But sorry, Duane, you were talking about warlocks and how awesome they are.
Oh, let's get back to Skarn. Like, I love the new patron from Yugman's Guide, the Mother of Serpents. I loved it.
What makes it cool?
Nothing in particular. I mean, it has some, it has the expended spell list like every patron does. Some simple poison resistance, but like it's all about serpents. So you get venomous barb at level 6, which allows you to start secreting venom from your nails. What? It allows you to do unarmed attacks.
That's rad.
So you don't have to be, in a lot of the pictures you see them being, Slytherins, which are the rat folk, or Asathi, who are the snakes. You don't have to be. You can just be a regular human that just grows, nails and starts scratching people. And I haven't actually played it because I wanted to play something different. The campaign that we're in right now, but the damage is impressive.
Nice. It's
a 2d4 poison damage, but then it increases by 2d4 at level 10 and level 14. So you'll be doing 6d4 poison damage.
Do not underestimate the D4, because that little die,
that's a lot.
You have a really high chance to roll a 3 and a 4 on that, and that's not something to sneeze at. Like that's average damage on other dies, and so you're it's like really quick, really fast, really cool damage. Yeah, that's don't sneeze at the D4. Don't forget the D4.
Those little caltrops hurt.
Yeah, those little caltrops do fucking hurt.
Now the new invocations that came with the Warlock in Yugman's Guide, I didn't personally like them. There are other patrons that have they're named different invocations, but they pretty much do the same thing.
Right.
Or something very similar to. However, what was it in? It was just in the Scarred Lands base. No, I cannot remember. Yes, it was just in the Scarred Lands Player's Guide. A lot of the invocations in there are, I'm not going to say overpowered than the ones in 5th edition, but equally as fun.
Cool.
A little bit, I would say that, and this is probably because it's two different systems. One's Scarred Lands, one's 5e base. The ones in Scarred Lands do have restrictions that you have to take a pact that is from the Scarred Lands book,
right,
in order to have some of the invocations. But there are other invocations that have the same type of restrictions, so it's all about how you like it. But the some of the new spells for warlocks were very nice as well, that came out in Yugman's Guide. But I know a lot of people don't like warlock.
Yeah, it's kind of a creepy ooey gooey class, I feel.
I don't even think I don't think it's the creepiness. It's the when you want to play a magic user, you go for, most people are going to go for a sorcerer, really.
Yeah, I think they're better for it than wizards. Wizards are really kind of lacking, I feel, in 5th edition. I think we had that conversation before. Yeah,
it's not that they're lackey. It's I don't know the word I would use. not a weak. I mean, because they can tear stuff up.
Right. It just, you cast spells and that's kind of it. Like they're not. There's no trick to them. There's no gimmick. It's just, hey, I'm a wizard. And I don't. That whole wizards get more spells, like that's not necessarily, like if you know what spells to pick as a sorcerer, you're just as good. So. It's a thing. Oh shoot.
Oh,
Patty, did you find what you're looking for?
I did. So the rage mage barbarian is in Dead Man's Rust.
Yes.
However, I believe that shared rage barbarian we were thinking of, I believe that is in last Citadel.
Is it?
Oh,
I
was
looked
it?
through
Okay.
all the official Scarred Land supplements and I did not see it in there. So I think it's last Citadel actually.
Okay.
So my first ever 5e character was a bard,
I think I remember hearing about this,
which I very much enjoyed. It was like a bard ranger multi-class. Had a cool backstory for him, and good time. Really like that character. However, my favorite class, that's a tough question, because as the prescribed forever GM now, I've had very rare opportunities to make 5e characters now.
That is the rub of it mostly.
It is. I do like the new Artificer class. I think it's really cool. That would be one I would consider making for the next chance I get to play a 5e character. I would consider making an Artificer just because they look really cool.
Artificers have always been cool, and anybody who has said otherwise
is a fool.
a goddamn fool.
You heard it right here. You're a
fool. But yeah, I think definitely Artificer is one of those ones that I don't think gets. It's a really weird class to play. It's kind of hard to play most of the time because it used to be like in 3.5 where it was born of the Eberron book. Like you could sort of cobble together magical items and fake magical spells, which was kind of cool. But I like how they've made it now where you're basically like, okay, I'm a weaponsmith, so I get little turrets, or I'm an armorsmith, so I get my own magical armor that's really badass, and you can do a lot of cool stuff with it. They're really cool tricks in the game that none of the other classes can even come close to emulating.
And then I would say also, I think 5e did a really good job with clerics.
I do enjoy a good cleric.
They have a ton, you could make 10 different clerics and they can all be different.
I think 5e is the best version of the cleric that has ever existed in the D&D system. I think it's a really, really cool version of it that, if you're going to be a god worshipping person, I think you need to look at cleric as the template, or the 5th edition cleric as the template for it. So yeah, it's a really cool version.
Plus, I love the idea of D&D gods. I love just like, yes, I worship the literal god of death, but it's a benevolent god of death. Don't worry.
I've always hated like being beholden to, like, that's where I don't like Warlock, because you're beholden to it. I don't like being a cleric because you're beholden to it. And
see, that's why you take one of the chill gods. That's just like, basically all I'm really asking for here is, whenever you see some undead, you go kill it.
Patty,
okay, cool. You give me sweet powers for that?
I think you just came up with our next supplement for 5e is the Book of Chill Gods, where they're just like Steve God of Biscuits, like just
Just all I ask is for breakfast you eat biscuits. That's all I really want.
Like, part of your morning ritual better be a goddamn biscuit in there.
And if you don't, you have no spell slots.
Right.
You have angered God. You have angered God of biscuits.
Skill biscuit making.
As a third level cleric of Steve of Biscuits, you have the ability to conjure forth 5 pounds of biscuits.
5 pounds of biscuit with gravy.
Oh, okay. Well, that you're just opening up all kinds of nonsense now.
Yeah. I mean, biscuits, and you gotta have gravy with them biscuits, right? It's good stuff.
Gots to.
Very cool. Any other thought, Patty? Did you actually decide on a favorite class, or are you just all up in the air?
I'm gonna go with cleric.
Cleric, gotta go cleric.
Cool. I haven't had a chance to play one, but I'm gonna go with cleric mainly for the fact of like you said, D&D did just such a good job of clerics. Just go through, where like you're not. If you want to be the stereotypical healing cleric, sure, there's a life domain cleric where you just get like all kinds of crazy healing bonuses, and like one cure wound spell can end up, healing for like 30 HP at some point.
Yeah.
But bump that, let them heal themselves, let them eat bread, let them eat cake, go like Tempest cleric and like just lightning all the things.
Yeah, you're not beholden to that stereotypical healing cleric. Like
Healing, please.
Yeah, no, like give you the finger, get your own healing, buddy.
Hey, you bought those healing potions in town knowing damn well you need to use them.
Yeah, you know
Don't
what's
look
up.
at me.
I'm over here casting fireballs and thunderbolts for my god, so piss off.
I would say that cleric is one of the most fun that I've had playing as a character.
Yeah, I played one recent. God, when did I play one? I can't remember now, but it was one of the more fun times that I've had playing D&D. Just because, oh, you know what? Funny story. One of my original 3.5 characters, when I first met Mike and Steve and everything, was an actual cleric, and there was. Long story short, not really. Too late. So there was a book called the Spell Compendium, and it had like 500 new spells, and it was a ridiculous book. And in one of those books, or in one of that book, was a spell called Comet Fall. So it had a range, it had an insane range. So you could say the comet starts there and drops the next round, I want to say. So, or maybe it dropped that round, can't remember. So the height that it could drop, so if you're outside, you get max range, it would drop. And for everything that it dropped, it was a D6. So you could get like 12 D6 if you could get it all the way at the top. And then anything within that range fell to the ground and then took fall damage if that happened. And then also was now in hindered terrain. So it's a crazy spell.
And on fire.
And I don't think you were on fire, because that just would have been stupid insane, but kind of sounds like something that 3.5 would do. But yeah, so we were playing at a comic shop, and we had our game going, and these other guys had their other game going, and I don't know how it started, but it basically started as one of those, we can play D&D better than you can play D&D. I don't know who said it first, but then it was like, okay, fine.
Battle Royale, make a level 15 character, bring it next week, and we'll do it. So it was me, Mike, Steve, and I think one of our other friends. And so there's 4 of us. It was a 4-on-4. So they came, and they're like, dragonborn gods of death and whatever. And it's like, okay, I'm just a cleric that worships awesomeness. So whatever. Mike, I think, was a samurai, which the samurai in 3.5 was insane. But yeah, so this one guy is like, I fly up and I cast fireball, and we're all like, we all took fire immunity, so that was dumb. So then I'm like, I cast Comet Fall. And they're like, what? Yes, I cast Comet Fall. And because we decided to have this battle outside, it's at 120 feet. So you just flew up 60 feet. So you're getting hit. It's falling on you. It's doing max damage. And you also take another 66 because you fell. So he's like, wait, what? Yeah. And also you're now in hindered terrain, and something else happened because I had like put on a different feat. So he's like, I'm dead. I'm like, yeah, that's pretty much how this is going to go. And we killed them all in like one round. We're like, we didn't want to do this, but you guys forced this.
You've provoked us.
Yeah. You now owe us sandwiches. So let's go get sandwiches. But yeah, D&D, it's stupid fun.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Clerics are a versatile entity.
Yes.
I mean, what the last cleric that I played, nobody would have ever thought to make that cleric.
What was that? What?
That was my Warforged Cleric of Nature.
Yes. God, that was so amazing. That was, yeah. I'm sad that game's not a thing anymore, but yeah, that was a cool. Warforged are a great thing that you can kind of do. Yeah, I dug that. That was really cool. Anyway,
I mean, who would ever pick a Cleric of Nature? Like, what? Or like, why don't you just be a druid? I'm cleric. Heal.
I mean,
Why not?
Druids are cool, but clerics of nature are kind of a little bit better. But
I can talk with the squirrels too.
Hashtag I can talk with the squirrels too.
There's a YouTube channel, Joe Cat, who made a crap guide to D&D. And he does one for clerics, and I totally want to steal this idea from him and do it one day. It's a group of all clerics called the Amen. And since cleric is, you can have so many different clerics in 5e, you can just cover all your bases, but everyone is still the same class.
Yeah.
So like you said, you take a nature domain cleric and you have your druid. You take your life domain cleric and you have your cleric. You take your tempest domain cleric, you got your sorcerer. Like, you got everything you need right here.
That is awesome. That's cool. Yeah. Oh man. I was thinking the other day, like, an all cleric team would be something cool to see, but there was another thing that was like, oh, everybody should play a bard, a different type of bard. That was another thought.
God.
Yeah. And then you play as an actual
Traveling band.
traveling band. Yeah.
You're a rock group.
Yeah.
I would play in that game.
That would be fun, right? Like that would be
I would
be
do
hella
that.
cool. And like you're going around doing different shows and just getting in crazy hijinks and stuff. Like that would be
Everybody
fun.
wants to play the all rogue party. So why not do an all bard?
Yeah, like do something cool because all rogues, whatever, you're a bunch of thieves running around picking pockets. Like
No offense to rogue mains, but rogues are boring.
rogues are boring. I will admit. Yeah, you are right. They are.
And everyone's like, "Oh, that juicy sneak attack for when we get into fights." But for me, I'm like, "Yeah, but rogues offer such little role playing variants." It's like, I'm a criminal and I steal things." Oh, yeah, it's very cool.
I'm a thief. All right, cool. Yeah, all right, yeah.
Very original.
Cool. So I feel like we've petered out on stuff to say. Am I wrong?
I did. No, you're not wrong. But I just want to reiterate: Vorpal Tales, Drive-Thru RPG. Check out our supplements. They're hella cool, yo.
Geez, Patty, it's almost like you're closing out the show and jumping the shark because I was going to talk about go check out our shop and check out all our stuff. But yeah, Patty, you did it. You're cool. Look at you.
Duane, would you also recommend people checking out Vorpal Tales on Drive-Thru RPG?
I would, but you know what? I would also encourage people to do is to go by vorpaltales.com and check out our affiliate website. See other people that are doing cool things for any type of role-playing tabletop game.
I thought you said go buy vorpaltales.com. B-U-Y. And I'm like, what? Are we encouraging people to cyber squat us? Crap. Yes, you should. Check out all our schedules. Check out all our stuff. Patty, what was the name of that supplement we just put out?
It is called Troubadours and Tender Keepers, Pugilists and Pack Makers.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right. So yeah, guys, thanks for being here. Tell us where people can find you. Patty, where can people find you?
You can find me at @PattyShakes_ all over the interwebs. Additionally, you can check out Vorpal Tales on Twitch on Fridays, where I'll be running when we're not doing an off week, like we are for the next 2 weeks, where I'll be running Draco Genesis Titan's Lament, a 5e game in the Scarred Land setting. Additionally, I'll be rejoining our Tuesday game, where we're going to be doing Trinity Adventure, which I believe you are running, Shawn. So I'm excited for that.
Yeah, I've got a lot of reading tomorrow.
All right. I am having just finished up Trinity Continuum Aberrant. I am very versed in Trinity Continuum, so I'll be able to help.
I might have to pick your brain because I built a couple of characters and did a couple of things last night with Tyler, and it seems pretty straightforward. So yeah, maybe I'll hit you up tomorrow, Duane, if you're bored. So cool.
Never bored, but feel free to hit me up.
Duane, where can people find you?
People can find me on the internet in most places as Made of Kimchi. I just now realized that some of my social media is Made of Kimchi 83. But just look for my dumb face and you'll find me.
It's a handsome face that looks like Keanu Reeves. Just don't.
Yeah,
It's true.
If you think you've gone to Keanu Reeves' social media and you're like, wait a second, this isn't right, then it's probably me.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. What was the thing that I said today? That we've made a kimchi golem and made it in the visage of Keanu Reeves and called it Duane, something along those lines.
But yes, you guys can find me doing all types of Vorpal Tales stuff. I will be maintaining the YouTubes, so you can check out all of our archives there. And additionally, I will be. It is not 5th edition, but I will be doing the Pathfinder 2nd edition on Thursdays on Vorpal Tales, where we are doing Strange Aeons, which is one of the most popular campaign settings of Pathfinder.
Nice, cool. Thanks, Duane, and thank you, Patty, for showing up. As always, you can find us on the social medias at Vorpal Tales. Check out our Patreon at patreon.com/Vorpal Tales. See our calendar on our show reels. It's at vorpaltales.com, and on our Twitch channel. Find out everything that's going on. We have awesome adventures. We have terrifying tales. We do a lot of stuff, and if you can't find something that you like, tell us what you like, and we'll run it. But that sounds like a fair thing, I think.
Yeah, that seems definitely fair.
Right. Also check out the pull list on our website. Friend of the show at Funky Thunder does his weekly review in no particular order of this week's latest comic releases. Like Patty said, be sure to check out our shop links on our website. Vorpal Tales has created several great supplements to enhance your games. There are more in the works for all the systems that we play to make your tabletop experience more Vorpally. And thank you, listeners, for listening to all of our words and taking it in and loving us and being awesome. So, for the love of the dice, game on.